So late last night, the House of Representatives backed Trump's tax proposal bill, which means no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, and no tax on Social Security. Let's get into it. This is even with the House of Representatives even having a problem with votes to back Donald Trump on this budget plan. So the House bill wraps up all of Trump's proposals, the things that he promised in his campaign. Again, no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, and no tax on Social Security benefits. So let's see what's going to happen with the federal budget. So what does this mean? It says workers who work extra hours over their regular hours, which is 40 hours a week, or 80 hours a paycheck, which is two weeks, will not have to pay federal tax on any overtime's earnings. So this has the potential to take home more of their total pay. They're saying that, and you got some of these tax gurus and CPAs saying that it's going to be abused, but they probably ain't going to be out of a job, because what we're going to need CPAs for, and what we're going to need the internal revenue for, if we're not paying taxes. Okay, and it also says the proposal will also, some people would get overtime at double or even triple time, so that there would be an incentive for employers, including business owners, to classify their business as overtime, to classify their income as overtime. So even though the House passed the bill barely, the Senate still has its own separate budget plan with different ideas on how to implement Trump's big, beautiful bill. It says the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimated such a plan will reduce government revenue by $250 billion to $100.4 trillion, and by $1 trillion to $5 trillion if all eligible workers for the tax cut switch to hourly. So the new tax cut plus the extension, there was an extension on implemented under the Trump 27, which would be expiring in 2026 if they don't renew it. And so even though they're going to have to still find $2 trillion, they're still going to be trying to cut different programs, anything that they can, like Medicaid, Medicare, y'all that don't want to go to work, food stamps, food assistance program like SNAP. So this is probably going to raise the deficit to $4 trillion over the 2 years and add almost $3 trillion to the federal deficit over 10 years, reported by USA Today. So this is when we talk about tariffs. He's going to offset some of that $2 trillion with tariffs, and again, cutting other programs that's unnecessary. Anything they can find that's going to take, it probably going to be Section 8, and anything low income, affordable housing, all those programs are not going to exist. So even though this series of proposals to exempt certain kinds of incomes, which is the tips, overtime pay, Social Security benefits from taxes, which would cost $222 billion in 2026. During the campaign, Trump also suggested to offset the corporate taxes. I remember that. Corporate income tax rate from 21 to 20, and pairing with an additional reduction of 15% for companies that make their products in America, which would cost another $41 billion in 2026. Trump also proposed to offset a tiny fraction of these cuts by repealing green energy tax credits, which would raise the cost of $74 billion next year. More than 2/3 of the benefits of these changes will go to the richest fifth of Americans, with 21% of the benefits flowing to the richest 1% alone. Meanwhile, the middle fifth, 20% of Americans, which would get 10% of the benefits, and the poorest of Americans would get 1%. Also, rich people will benefit from him extending the tax cut from 2017, which will provide taxpayers in this group an average tax cut more than $80,000 in 2026 alone. These figures assume that Congress Republicans would not extend one of the 2017 provisions that limit tax breaks for the rich. So altogether, the richest 1% would receive an average tax cut of $8 in 2026 alone, outstripping tax cutters in another income group. So now that the House has passed what Trump wants, the Senate has their own bill. Now they have to work together to come up with one big plan to see how they're going to do this, how they're going to allocate all this money, how they're going to move around monies so they can be able to give this tax break on overtime income tax, overtime Social Security tax and tips. I had already said in one of my previous videos that even though stuff is, the president can say stuff, that doesn't mean that they can actually pass it. That stuff has to go through an act of Congress. And this is the act of Congress right now, you guys, going through. They done passed it. Now they got to come up with a way to still be able to work out these tariffs and still be able to get everything implemented from the 2017 existing tax bill and the new tax bill to correlate all this stuff together for 2026 is when it's everything. We're going to see a difference in our paycheck in 2026. So now they're saying that the House Energy and Commerce Committee will be responsible for coming up with $880 billion in saving. But because the committee can also say overspending for programs like Medicaid and Medicare, more moderate Republicans will worry about cuts coming from the social safety net. Okay, so I also got a video next week, you guys, about Medicaid fraud. And the reason this has nothing to do with us people, the big pharma, and how they've been scheming and scamming all of the Medicare money. This is what this has to do with. This really don't have nothing to do with cutting it from low income people and disabled people. This is because the people that's in these doggone clinics and doctors have been overpricing and overbilling all this stuff, making the deficit higher and higher and higher with Medicaid. That's what this come from. Next week in this video, we got all type of people come explaining, and Medicaid fraud, it's a thing. Section 8 fraud is a thing. Social Security fraud is a thing. These people have been frauding for years and years and years. And now that they're getting questioned, we got PPP loans. It's so much fraud going on. And they're trying to get to the bottom of it so they can save this money and make people pay money back that they didn't supposed to have in the first place. So they're going to get to all of that. And they're trying to do the 2017, the 2026 tax proposals and get all this unnecessary spending out of these programs, hold people accountable for who've been stealing, and do all this stuff within a year's time, because they still want to make a promise to whatever they said they was going to do for us. And they really want to see us have a change in our incomes and these gas prices. They want to see a change in the stuff that's happening from all the money that they're. So yesterday I made a video, all the money that they're saving. So yesterday I did a video on the Doge spending, but now that they have passed this tax bill, it might be a wait on that. I don't know. I'm going to keep you guys up to date on it, but I just want to say that I don't think they should give us that Doge money. I would rather have my taxes cut. I'm just saying me. Don't, and that's why they haven't passed it yet, because they still have people saying don't give out any dividend checks yet to anybody. We can take that money that we save and put it to something else, like Medicare, like Medicaid. But first we need to get all that fraud out of the way, all these people out of the way, moving them out of the way, and then we can get business going. Okay, and it also says the Democrats also seized on the potential for cuts to the popular Medicaid program for low-income, elderly, and disabled Americans. The House of Representatives budget resolution will be set in motion to the largest Medicaid cut in American history. Ahead of Tuesday's vote, several members signaled opposition, but in the end, only one Republican from Kentucky voted against it. So everybody was in favor. So what do you think about the tax cut and the House backing Trump? The Senate already have their own proposal for Trump. Now they're all getting together to sit down to see how they're going to implement all this money, save us money, do all the things that they said they was going to do. What do you guys think? Comment below and let me know. Are you looking excited? Are you an hourly worker? Are you a salary worker? Because I know they're afraid that people that was salary workers are going to be hourly trying to get that overtime money so they can get money. And of course, I would too, but I'm hourly, so it's going to benefit me anyways. So let me know what you guys think of all the stuff that's going on, all the things that the House is doing. And I'm going to keep you guys know that this is just was updated a couple of hours ago. I was in my physical, but I'm out now. So I'm going to upload this video when I get home. Make sure you guys leave a comment. Make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.